come once again to discuss things.
Yes, it's his fault. He should have changed it.
Okay, well, on that note, hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Super2. Joining me today is Bobby Smith Jr., aka R64 Bear, and Milan Jeftik 1992, and yes, that is his real name.
Indeed. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Should I introduce the topic today?
Go ahead, Milan.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we are going to talk about the representation of the mentally ill in popular culture. And fiction and whatever.
And whatever. I like that you add the and whatever to it. That does really give it the
Should
that
really
it
put
needs.
that in the title.
Just like exactly what he said, it like verbatim
Yes.
in the title. The representation of mental illness in film, in pop culture, and whatever. Yeah, that's a real snappy title. Really sticks right in your head there, doesn't it?
Oh, totally. So, who wants to start? Should I, or should you, or should Bobby?
Well, Milan, let me ask, why do you think this is a good topic?
I think this is a fascinating topic because... What?
Hold on.
That's the ghost of the salesman that, rests in our sink. But, what was the question again?
Why did you think this was a good topic to go on?
Well, personally, to tell you the truth, this thought has been germinating in my brain for a while now. I mean, we're all big fans of Batman, right? And essentially his rogues gallery and kind of Batman himself is essentially all metaphors for mental illness. And in general, how the mentally ill are portrayed in movies and comics and whatever are always like these, like these always... The asylums are these horrifying, 18th century bedlam places filled with, these serial killers and monsters and these insane individuals that will eat your face. And,
well, I mean, that's what happens.
Well, no, that's the thing. I mean...
There's this really interesting story about a psychologist he's actually the... this guy was the head of an institution, the head administrator. And he was a psychologist too, and he's given some investors like a tour of the place, and he's showing all the progress that they've had there, and just all the patients that he shows off are just really doing very well, completely rehabilitated. They're only staying there so that they can show the investors how well they're doing, so that the place gets some more funding. And he takes them to this final patient. And the guy has a can of Planters nuts, and he's just sticking his dick into it. And they're like, "What's going on?" He goes, "I'm fucking nuts, and I'm never getting out of here." Sorry, the opportunity presented itself for that joke. I had to take it.
That's perfectly alright, but that's the thing. Whenever the asylum is brought up in fiction, it's a thing. It's not always the people in charge, the doctors and the nurses who are painted as the villains of the asylum. It's always the patients themselves. I mean, there is still quite a lot of abuse in mental health institutions because you're a mentally ill person and you're kind of at the beck and call and in the most terrible of places. And, you were back in the old days, but that's the thing. You're in a very, what's the right word I'm looking for? Compromised position. As a mentally ill person, you rely on these people. And in fiction, you only see, all these nurses and doctors who are usually the villains in real life are always, are portrayed as like these poor, beleaguered individuals. And not to say they aren't, but like it's the focus of villainy is always on the mentally ill and not on the asylum itself.
I don't think I agree with you there.
I'm not to say...
It's weird. Nothing's jumping to my head immediately, but I know I've seen something where the doctors are...
Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a great example.
But
there's like more just basic kind of bottom of the barrel stuff where the doctors are evil. Bobby, why don't you throw in a little bit on this subject?
I gotta say, like, when I was younger, I was always terrified to go to a mental institution. Because I can't remember specifically what movies or TV shows I watched, but I saw, I always had a fear I was going to go there, and even though it wasn't insane, just the care that I saw in the movies and whatnot, it always actually kind of terrified me. I think the use of mental illness in movies can be a useful tool.
Yeah.
Either be a useful tool or a great shock factor at the very end of the movie. And I think that's one of those things, and I think it's definitely, I think it's lost its touch a little bit lately. In the last few years in the movies, you don't really get as well use of it, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree. See, it's weird. I like when mental illness is used in film most of the time, but I don't like when it's just very cliche, I guess. And I think that's part of what Milan's talking about, is when you do see asylums where the inmates are portrayed as the villains, they're often like really cliche versions of like these, you know, it's not even really a specific disorder anyone has, it's just batshit crazy. And there's nothing wrong with like an asylum. I mean, you know, it's a weird thing to bring up, but I love Freddy Krueger's origin. I think that's one of the most terrifying ideas ever, that, like, for those that don't know, Freddy Krueger's mother was a nun who was working in a mental institution, and there was a room where they kept, like, all the just completely incurable psychopaths just together in one room.
I remember that place.
Yeah, you were there. I'm pretty sure you were in that scene. No, but, like, there's a room where they keep them all, and she's in there, like, giving them food, and they lock up for the weekend and leave, and they forget that she's in there. And so she gets... The famous line about Freddy Krueger is that he's the bastard child of 1,000 madmen. Because they just... all the mentally ill guys just raped his mom for an entire weekend. And then she had the baby because she was a nun, so she couldn't abort or anything like that. It's a really fascinating idea, but like you gotta admit, even though that scenario in and of itself is terrifying, those guys are like complete cliches in every sense of the word. So I think that's more your problem, Milan, is not that it's just portraying that a lot of movies just portray the mentally ill as villains, but it's very cliche versions of the mentally ill, where they don't have anything specifically wrong with them. They're just kind of, you know, crazy in general.
Yeah, just the boogeyman, the mentally ill guy. That's the thing. It portrays this really stereotypical representation of the crazies, and it's just like, oh, we're all these incompetent, insane serial killer murderers that, you know, build bombs in our backyards and you know, wear the skins of children as coats. I mean, that only happened like twice, man. I mean, but seriously speaking,
it was a bad week, dude. Just, you know, back off.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Only God can judge you.
Only God can judge. Yeah, well, he did once, and he just said, he just put his hands up and said, you know what?
I don't get paid enough for this.
Exactly.
No, but like, I'm trying to think, like, it's not like all mental illness is portrayed only in the asylum, though. Because I'm trying to think of some of my favorites.
Misery, for one, I think. The whole split personality disorder is perfect in that. Like,
Misery? She doesn't really have split personality.
Well,
if anything, I'd say that...
Bipolar?
Yeah, I'd say bipolar, definitely.
Like,
I was about to say that.
1 second, you know, she's really kind, and, you know, she's like, oh, no, you can never write these books. You're just too kind of a man. The next scene, she's breaking his kneecaps with a hammer. It's
right?
just terrifying.
Yeah, that woman...
Misery is a good one. I like... For a more positive portrayal of someone that's mentally ill, I'm a really big fan of United States of Tara, which is a Showtime show that depicts a mom with dissociative identity disorder. As like, it's probably a little exaggerated, but like they do some pretty good things in that. And you know, DID, or multiple personality disorder, as it's more widely known, is certainly one of the more glamorous disorders. I guess it gets
definitely.
portrayed a lot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that whole shit.
Yeah, like it's certainly one of the more like overexposed things, but they do a really interesting job in that show, like establishing that a lot of people don't think it's fucking real, which is a big concern and like a big topic of debate in the community about that, like in the psychological community about whether or not the idea is real. So it's one of those fun things to focus on.
Yeah.
I really like that because it's a fairly positive portrayal of someone living with the mental disease and still trying to have a normal life.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There are very so few representations of positive. But when you say mentally ill guy, crazy dude, asylum, you think Arkham Asylum. You think guys with frickin' Hannibal Lecter masks getting wheeled around, going, "I'm gonna eat your."
I mean, hold on. If you wanted to portray the mentally ill as positive, good people, then why the hell did you draw yourself in a damn straitjacket with a Hannibal Lecter mask on?
Because it's factually accurate with me. But that's the thing. I mean, in general, I mean, the very concept of people thinking they're mentally ill, there's this very, like, in fiction, there are great examples of positive representations of the mentally ill in media out there. Like you mentioned, like a few. But that's the thing, this constant fear-mongering that the crazy people are going to get you is just, I'm not saying that's a problem, but, well, it kind of is, but it's overly prevalent. I mean, if you had more, diversity in the representations of the mentally ill, I mean, there are people who are bad and there are people who are good. The fact that they're mentally ill really rarely, well, not rarely, but it's just like, oh, these are evil. These mentally ill people are evil. It's not like these are evil people that just so happen to be mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like, I'm just saying, it's a little, like, it's not that it's like I'm really kind of like, oh my god, I feel like I'm misrepresented in the popular culture, yada yada, because hey, you got the whole bisexual guy thing going on, but it's just it just seems it's a little cliche now. It's just like you say,
it's kind of like this negative stigma with it. I think it's not exactly accurate for the way a lot of people perceive it.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Most definitely. Milan, can you mute your mic when you're not talking, please? Because I don't know, river in the background or something.
Hold on. I'll just turn off the electric chair 1 second.
Okay. And he didn't mute his mic. So anyway, I agree that you do need more positive things. So let's for a moment focus on the things that do the positive portrayals really well, and see what about them, what in that is doing the positive portrayal well, if that's a good place to go.
Mm.
So I mentioned United States of Tara, which is actually produced by Steven Spielberg, and I think one of the interesting things about that is his mandate for the show was she's still a mother. Beyond everything else, she's still a mom. And so they're trying to portray her doing what moms do, taking care of the kids, helping, dealing with the husband, stuff like that. And they didn't make it cheesy like a frickin', oh my god, it's possibly the worst idea ever. But I'm sure that if a studio exec hears it, it'll get greenlit instantly. They didn't make a sitcom where the mom has multiple personality disorder. Doesn't that just sound awful, but it sounds like something you might actually see? Anyway.
Isn't that like what States of Tara is?
No, it's a family. It's much more realistic than that. I mean, it's grounded. It's not a sitcom like with the goofy things. When I say sitcom, I mean like legit, wacky neighbor and like
over the top stereotypes
and audience, live audience that isn't a live audience and it's just a laugh track. Can you imagine if they tried to do something like that? It would just be terrible.
Yeah. Hey, Mom! I'm not your mother. I'm the thing that lives underneath the stairs and draws pictures with my own poop.
Who wants breakfast?
Who wants breakfast? Like, okay, you're I'm the Gollum creature. Okay. Can I talk to Mom? Oh, delightful, darling. You're not my mother. I have many faces!
All right, we're producing that. That's the thing that's happening now, just for the sheer value that it needs to happen. Lon, can you mute your mic when all this shit's going on?
I'm sorry. Just Dad doesn't know.
Do it! Jesus. No, but like, what I think the United States Star does right is it portrays her as a person first and as a, someone living with an illness second, you know?
Yeah.
It does worm its way into her life in every single facet, and she's trying to distance herself from it, and yet at the same time, work through it, I guess. It's very strange to describe. So I think that's one of the things that it does really well. Can anyone else think of, like, examples of things that they've seen or read that portrays the mentally ill well?
I think Dexter, with the his dead father died when he was, like, a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I've really loved the use of them bringing where he sees his dead father talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this gives another inner monologue that we can see that's not exactly him talking to himself, but someone he can talk to. With him being a serial killer, he doesn't get too much of a chance to actually talk to other people about his problems and situation. So it's an interesting way, I think, to hear him think out loud and explore a little more options than just inner monologue.
Dexter.
I think Harry is the closest thing Dexter has to a conscience.
Mm-hmm.
To be perfectly honest, what about you, Milan?
Dexter, that's the thing. It's just like, oh, I'm going to bring up a positive representation of the mentally ill. Oh, he kills folk.
Well, he kills bad people.
Oh, that makes it better. That's
He's kind of like a superhero. In a certain sense. There's a clip from, season 2, where he's like, it's one of his little fantasy moments. It almost becomes Scrubs for like 2 seconds, where he imagines himself as a superhero, and he's got like the leather jacket and stuff, and then he has like the long leather trench coat, and then he comes back out of it's like, in Miami, I'd die of heat stroke. But yeah, I mean, like, yes, he kills people, and yes, he does it more for himself than for, the good of the world, but he does kill bad people. He knows where to focus it. So I guess the thing Dexter does right is it shows the illness or the problems brought on by the mental inefficiencies or mental difficulties being funneled by the person correctly in a positive way.
The mental inefficiencies. That's just so corporate speak. Oh, you have a mental inefficiency. We have to let you go.
Well, I'm trying not to say mental illness 17 times in a row. So, sorry, why don't you come up with another fucking word for it, asshole?
Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to...
No, fuck you. I'm gonna sit here and shit talk you, and you're gonna sit there and listen to it, because you have nothing better to do.
I think you guys need an internet hug.
Like, no internet hug.
Internet hug, guys. Come on.
No.
Hug it out. No.
Dude, I think if I touch Ian's skin, mine would burn instead, because he's just so full of hate and delightful anger.
No, I think my rage is, infectious to people with fairly innocent values. So that, even though Milan is, horribly fucked up, there's, this little nugget of innocence within him. So if, that ever gets touched, it'll just be, it'll be anally raped by Cthulhu, and so he'll just become just a horrible mass, even more so than he already is, a horrible mass of just crazy and hatred.
Oh, so right now I'm just a horrible mass.
Yeah, a horrible mass of crazy, but you have a nugget of innocence, which I'm working on destroying.
I know, and I appreciate you so much for that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's horrible. I'm thanking the man who's abusing me. That's a trend with me, isn't it?
Yeah. Look at your family life.
Oh my god, that's so true. Anyway, like that everyone who's listening, like, what the fuck kind of sick, twisted dynamic that those two motherfuckers have? I'm gonna
right. It's such a weird thing. Like this is why Milan and I will never have a late night talk show because people would watch, but not for the right reason.
Yeah. I get it.
It would be like scientifically studied.
Yeah. I'm surprised there isn't enough. Like, if we ever get like a proper like fan base, I guarantee you, there's just gonna be some fucked up yaoi art out there. Like, oh, male rivalry, butt sex. It's just gonna be awful.
For there to be a male rivalry, I'd have to consider you a man, so that's not.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Why do I say? Why?
Really, he's saying that he likes it, but really, he's kind of like crying right now.
Yeah. Like I'm right now. My voice is filled with joy, but my eyes are broken like a shattered mirror of dreams, bleeding tears of pain.
That got dark quickly.
Oh yeah. Like that's the thing.
No, but what do you think about what I said? Aside from the word mental inefficiencies, what do you think about what I said about Dexter? About him using the desires or whatever you want to call it, built up by his issues, in a positive way, funneling them positively.
That's like if it wasn't something so what's the right word I'm looking for? Like, I like Dexter. The concept doesn't really offend me all that much. It's just like, oh, it's Dexter. He's a serial killer that is a good guy. It's been done before. But yeah,
Puncher?
I don't know, somewhere in my head. But the basic idea of it, a mentally ill person trying to not overcome, but to channel their more homicidal. Oh, that's right. Homicidal urges to something positive. Yeah, I guess I can see where that can be seen as positive. But that's the thing. When do you see somebody who's like United States of Tara? That's a little bit more positive because it's just not like battling with the urge to skin her children alive with a spatula or something.
Well, then again, could you consider being a serial killer some kind of mental illness in itself?
Well, it's usually with Dexter. It's clearly because of what's it called? Why is it not coming to my head?
He's a sociopath?
No, but there's a clinical word for it. I'm trying to remember it. Antisocial personality disorder.
Really?
That is.
I thought he was.
That's. Well, no, that's what it is. Most serial killers and sociopaths, psychopaths. Those are just words. They don't have clinical meanings. But most people that fit that description are diagnosed with anti-personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder. There we go.
The very concept.
The reason, and the thing is, it's not just serial killers and psychopaths. A lot of race car drivers, pilots,
thrill seekers,
astronauts. Those people have that same disorder, and it's because you don't care about consequences.
That's the thing. It seems so delightful. It's like, oh, I don't want to cross the road and obey the laws of the road. I'm just gonna. It's the very idea of that, anti-authoritarianism disorder, whatever the fuck it's called. It just sounds so cute and benign. It's like, oh, I don't want to pay attention to the rules. I'm gonna go slit a man's throat slowly and watch him die.
Well, I don't think it sounds benign. I mean, it's antisocial personality disorder. I mean, it's really problematic because what do you need for a functioning society? You need everybody to care about what the fuck's going on. Societies enjoy conformity. If in an ideal society everyone does the exact same things over and over again, and then it functions perfectly streamlined until you get into natural world problems that are outside the control of the society. So people with antisocial personality disorder are just completely it's completely alien to them. So they don't understand that there's a problem with killing people. It's just, I want to kill that guy. I have an urge to do it, so I'm going to do it. It's pure id. It's pure id in the Freudian sense of the thing. Not that Freud was right, obviously, but still.
Isn't it like, doesn't like, not Freud, Nietzsche kind of like the 101 hand, like the guy who kind of wrote the 101 the handbook for sociopaths? Yeah. Not
necessarily. There's certainly that interpretation out there. Nietzsche was concerned with the idea that morality and basic way to understand Nietzsche is he felt that the weak were putting the strong into shackles to make them feel bad for being strong. Now that being said, you going out and raping someone doesn't make you strong. Yes, you're physically stronger than them in order to do that, but that's not something that makes you strong. You also have to be a strong person from a moral standpoint that you define by yourself. When Nietzsche says that morals are the tools that the weak use to shackle the strong, he doesn't mean all morality. He means that morality imposed by others upon you. So you have to define your own morality and make sure it's consistent with what matters to someone that is strong, and someone that is strong isn't a horrible human being. So Batman is the true Superman. Because it's his moral code that supersedes everything. And Batman clearly has antisocial personality disorder. The man's a complete introvert. One of my favorite scenes between him and Nightwing, no idea what book this is in, but someone can find it, I'm sure. It was back when Nightwing and Oracle were dating. And it was during the Teen Titans era, too, so Nightwing was in Teen Titans. And he'd just gotten over that fling with Starfire. So he's sitting there talking to Bruce about all his relationship things. And he's like, yeah, but I think I'm going to go back to dating Barbara. And Bruce is just completely stone-faced. Doesn't even look like he listened to any of that. He goes, I just thought you'd like to know about, personal life. And Bruce just looks up and goes, noted. And then goes back to what he's doing. Just complete introvert, doesn't care at all. No, Batman is the true Superman or Ubermensch because he defines his own morality. So you can certainly make the argument that Nietzsche wrote the book for sociopaths. Part of the problem with that is Nietzsche wrote in poetry. Nietzsche wrote in verse, and a lot of his points are sarcastic in nature. You wish to multiply yourself tenfold, 1,000-fold. You seek followers, seek zeros. That's him criticizing politicians for, they just appeal to the lowest common denominator, the people that don't matter, the people on the margins, and that's why they get into positions of power. So if you want to make yourself super powerful, then just, appeal to the weakest people. The Ubermensch doesn't want to make himself super powerful in that sense, so he doesn't want to appeal to the zeros. That's the point he's making. Of course, you got someone like Hitler who takes that point literally. And therefore he makes himself appeal to the lowest common denominator, the zeros, the racists, and the bigots from post-World War I Germany who just wanted someone to blame besides themselves. So, yeah, politics, sociology, psychology, and philosophy all there in one little bow.
Yeah. So, ladies and so essentially what you're saying there is just this large message to all the people who are listening. Your congressman is probably a sociopath. That guy at Hot Topic or, the local shop that you eat at, like restaurant, is a sociopath. But anyone in power is essentially crazy.
Not necessarily.
It's actually kind of funny you mentioned that, too. I just watched Dexter the last season. They bring that up.
Yeah? Nietzsche or what?
With politicians being sociopaths.
Oh, most definitely. You're not necessarily a sociopath if you're in a position of power, but you definitely have tendencies because it's impossible to get to certain levels of power without stabbing some people in the back. So it's I shouldn't say impossible. Certainly it's plausible. I would like to think that Bill Gates is a good person. I have no definitive evidence of this. He could just be, putting up a really good smoke screen. But
Take it you didn't see the South Park episode?
Mm-hmm.
Nah. I would like to think that Bill Gates is a good person. He donates a lot of money to charities that otherwise would not. He creates charities, which is you don't even know how to go about doing that. So I would like to think Bill Gates is a good person and that he didn't stab people in the back. He just is a smart guy that used his intelligence to make a lot of money and then tried to give that money back to the world. So not necessarily, but a lot of corporate situations and political situations require some sociopathic behavior.
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
that's
the idea of the mentally ill symptom as supervillain in Batman always kind of fascinated me because it just even from its very concept. I mean, you got the guy who's the Joker. He's got a gangster guy. And over the years, him just being a representation of fucking sociopathy or I can never remember that fucking phrase. Anti-authoritarian.
Anti-social personality disorder.
That's the one. And it's just that whole concept is just, and Scarecrow being phobias, and it's just fascinating to me. It's just.
Well, I don't think it started out quite like that. I think it started as just a simple idea of, what if we had a supervillain that can make you feel fear? And it became more sophisticated over time. And what if we had a supervillain that was just crazy and just wanted to fight? That was the thing, is, why does Lex Luthor keep going after Superman? They needed it to eventually make it an ego thing. So then, why does the Joker keep going after Batman? Because he wants to. It's gotten more complex since then, but that's the gist of it. He just wants to. There's no reason for it. He just decides, I'm gonna fucking fight Batman because, I don't know, maybe I'm in love with him, or maybe I, want the world to see this alternate idea, or maybe I don't like what he represents. It's constantly changing because he doesn't know. He's just insane, and he just wants to do it.
That's the thing. I mean, I don't really there's, of course, so many interpretations of the Joker that it doesn't even matter, but personally, I like the idea that he's not insane at all, that he's just...
I hate that idea.
The fact that he's, because, I don't know, because he seems far too intelligent to be insane. It's like maybe he's so insane he's gone around the bend, and so he's become kind of, sane again. So it's kind of this.
Well, I mean, you got the Grant Morrison super sane idea, which I do enjoy.
Yeah, that's it. I like that.
I like that one, but the problem with that you don't understand is sanity is something defined by the norm. So, a really good example of this is to say, all right, Bobby, we'll do this. All right, everyone, I'm holding a quarter, just normal, everyday kind of quarter. Bobby, what color is this?
Silver.
Okay, what would you do if I told you that this quarter... What would be your reaction if I told you that this quarter was neon orange?
Neon orange?
That's the color of the quarter.
How'd you do it?
No, just...
Okay.
God, follow me down the
You're
road.
crazy.
I'm crazy, all right. Now, you're 100% sure that this quarter is silver, right?
Yes, from what I perceived myself.
Okay. Now, what if I got someone else to come in that's not Milan, that seems like a perfectly rational person, and says it's neon orange? And it's not just them, and I didn't talk to them beforehand, and I got 100 people to come in and tell you that this quarter is neon orange.
Yes.
And I got 6 billion people on the planet to agree with me that this quarter is neon orange. And you're looking at it, and you tell me it's silver, right? At that point, it doesn't matter whether or not the quarter is silver or neon orange. You're crazy because everyone else accepts a certain level of truth or a certain fact that the quarter is neon orange to them. If you go outside the norm that far, and it's a quarter, so I'm not going to say you're crazy, but in this sense you are. If the quarter is reality, then you are crazy. Um,
I have a strong urge to kill Batman now.
yeah, right. So like that's what it is.
But, yeah.
Is Joker may be super sane, but because everyone else in the world isn't super sane, he is by definition insane.
Fascinating.
Insanity is defined by contrast to the norm.
That's what I find so interesting about Joker too. It's like his idea of it just takes one person to have one bad day and to know exactly what it's like to live through his life. To make him so unquote crazy.
Yeah.
The thing is with the whole one bad day thing, that is an interesting concept, but he was essentially proven wrong. See, I personally have tried that whole one bad day thing with some random guy I stole off the street, and no matter what I did to him, I mean, you have to. The thing is, going insane is a gradual process. It's not just one thing, because one traumatic event.
Well, I think the power of the one bad day is he doesn't say it does happen to everybody. He says it can happen to anybody.
I suppose
the reason Gordon survives and doesn't go crazy after that one bad day is because he has something to hold on to still.
Exactly.
He says, like, what is the first thing that Batman... well, shit, it's been a while since I've read Killing Joke, but...
I want him taken in by the book.
Yeah, I want him taken in by the book, right? He has the law to hold on to. He has something to hold on to there, all right? There's something in this world that still works for him. But Joker doesn't need to prove that he's right about this one bad day idea with Gordon, because he's already proven it, because Batman's there. Mm-hmm. Batman wouldn't exist if not for his one bad day. That's the whole point of that line. You had a bad day once, am I right? I know I am. You had a bad day, and the line's lost on me. You had a bad day, and suddenly everything changed, or something like that.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore that line, because it does work. Yes, insanity usually is a gradual process, but at a certain point, if it is awful enough, it happens. There's nothing that you can do about it. It's just you go crazy. It's not necessarily lifelong insanity, but that's what temporary insanity is.
Yeah.
It's just you are completely strung out and you have nothing left to hold on to. And if that process continues, or if that experience is traumatic enough, it can last forever.
The thing is, the thing with that is, you have to find the perfect shattering point whenever you want to destroy somebody's psyche. See, I've gone into extensive research about this, and if you want to, both on myself and my many victims, you have to find that right place, that right. It takes extensive research to know this person, because once you learn all you can learn about this person and know them intimately, then you know what buttons you can push and what's that right little bit of emotional instability that you can hit with your hammer. And then, the whole, structure of the human mind collapses around you. And you just stand there in this shower of broken sanity and laugh with your ability to destroy a man's mind with just one single, hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough. Ha ha ha. Anyway. No, I agree that the idea of the one bad day, it's not universal, it doesn't happen to everybody, but the point he's making is it can happen to anybody. All it takes is one bad day. And, I mean, he makes a very similar point in Dark Knight. Is it Insanity? Insanity, like gravity. Insanity's like gravity. All it takes is one little push. That's all it really is it's just, you just need enough to go wrong, and you can completely lose it.
I truly believe, everyone I've ever met is to some degree insane to somewhat. Everyone has a little bit differently with something else, and I think just years of building little stuff here and there, the weight starts to, maybe for some people, get a little too much, and it just takes that little push to finally break the barrier.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Because it's just...
Alright, so... Go ahead, Milan.
I mean, I'm just fascinated talking to you guys because you and Bobby, you understand. You bring up you word these concepts in such easily to understand ways, and I appreciate that. Oh, that's the thing. Madness is contagious because you can raise a person. Yeah, like, can you be raised insane? Because if you raise a child, you take a child and you raise it in an environment that's just completely off kilter, and that person grows up like essentially raise somebody in a fun house, emotional fun house, of a house of mirrors, and just when they come out and interact with the real world, they've grown.
You know what's funny about that?
They've grown up they've grown up in an environment that has absolutely no connection with the real sane world.
Yeah. What's funny about that is the other day I was thinking about this, and I was like, do you realize that there are absolutely no rules about who can have kids? There should be a couple rules because, obviously there are some people who are, really awful people that, of course, they shouldn't be allowed to have children. But then there's just, everyone listening to this knows one person that they really hope never has kids, right? It's just please don't taint the gene pool anymore. Certainly that's the case with madness as well. There's a lot of just really horribly disturbed people that you just look at them and it goes, you never had a chance. There's no way, because just the way they were raised is just awful. It's a fictional example, and I'm not going to count this bullshit series that's out that I refuse to watch. It's a fictional example, but look at Psycho with Norman Bates.
Yeah.
Look at how he embodies his mother in that. Yes, he's got multiple personality disorder, DID. Yes, he's embodying his mother, but let's say that's how his mother actually treated him. How could he not have grown up and been crazy at that point? You know? He knew how to put on a face, sure, but he had no chance. If he's just emotionally abused every day of his life, how could he have possibly grown up to be a normal person,
Especially when there's signs of it and there's no hope he's getting it at all.
Yep.
I mean, that's the thing. It's fascinating. I have kind of fears like that. I mean, I know a couple of mentally ill people who are terrified of having children. That's just kind of the great fear. If, I've gone through this, I'm mentally ill, and the concept of you can pass on your cursed genes to your children and have, my greatest fear, if I ever have a son or a daughter, and they just come up to me one day and said, Daddy, I hear things, I'm seeing things, and I'm like, what can I say at that point? I'm sorry for my shitty genetics. I mean, it's just like
that is a really scary thought.
It is, yeah. Just to
I've
pass.
got a couple,
yeah, go ahead.
I've got a couple, physical diseases. I've got Crohn's and I've got eczema, and those are genetic. So if I ever have kids, there's a 50% chance or whatever that they'll get it. And that's quite frightening, because these are not fun things to live with. Eczema when you're growing up, I mean, dude, you can't wear shorts, because, I would itch the shit out of my legs in my sleep. And just, for those that don't know what eczema is, imagine having a scab, and you peel off the scab, and it still bleeds, and then it rescabs over, but it spreads every time it rescabs. And it never quite heals unless you just completely leave it alone. That's eczema, and being a kid with that, I would scratch in my sleep. I got kicked out of an after-school care program because I was getting blood all over the sheets. And this was just a couple years after the big AIDS scare. So I was getting blood all over the sheets because I was scratching my sleep during nap time, So there are physical diseases, and it's really hard to live with that as a kid because, no one wants to play with the bloody kid. It's really hard to live with that as a kid, but I can't even imagine something that you don't even know whether or not it's happening.
Yeah.
Because, if a kid comes up to you and says, Dad, I'm seeing things, Dad, I'm hearing things, alright, not even that. Milan, what would you do if you saw your kid and he was playing in the yard talking to someone? Is it an imaginary friend, or is it a symptom?
That's the scariest part. I mean, all I can really do, I mean, even it all depends how young he is. If the child is, like 2 years old or something, I wouldn't bother because that's natural behavior. But when he gets...
Yeah, but that's the thing is you wouldn't really know if it was just natural behavior or if it was actual symptoms.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you don't know, but that's the most terrifying bit. I mean, I know if I ever do have kids, I want to, but if I have mental illness in my family. I mean, it's kind of a little obvious here, but it's but it's just like it's like is this the curse for like will my son have to live through what I lived through? I mean, like I went through this hell, and I'm reasonably not homicidal. I know I joke about crazy Milan and kidnapping people, but I don't do that. That's just Milan being Milan, silly Milan, ha ha ha. But like
silly Milan talks about kidnapping, murder.
Yeah, exactly,
classic.
Exactly. But that's the thing. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, in some dark parts of being crazy, there were parts where I had to not fantasize, like proper planning. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there's like, I can do this. All I need is the right things, a car, the right tools, and it would be really quite simple to get rid of the body. I mean, the idea, it's there, but that's the thing. What if, like, you're not really in the fully control of yourself? But will my son, if he does have this trouble, will he, survive and just become a fully rounded, kind person, or will he let the demons take him and, do something terrible?
And one movie that kind of deals with that in an interesting way, and I feel it's underrated simply because Dane Cook is in it, Mr. Brooks.
Great movie.
Really good movie, underrated, and a lot of people just don't watch it because Dane Cook's there. And like it's not like a Dane Cook movie, I swear to you. Dane Cook could be any actor. It just happens to be Dane Cook.
And it's probably one of the better sides of Dane Cook, if I were to say. So.
Yeah, he's a pretty good actor in that. No, but Mr. Brooks deals with that in a really interesting way because he's just, he is a serial killer and he's worried to death that his daughter will be, and then she comes home from college and the police show up and question her, and he's like, she did it, I know she did it. So he goes, and it's almost sweet if it wasn't awful. He goes and he gets in a disguise, goes to her college campus, which is like across the country or whatever, and kills someone in the exact same way that the media had reported the last person was killed, and then flies back home the same day to get the suspicion off of her daughter since she was in off of his daughter since she was in police custody. Really sweet fatherly moment there, in his own way. But no, that's dealing with that idea of, what have I passed on?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's an interesting thing that I can't really think of anything else that portrays that side of things, but I would love to see something that's not as, morbid as that, not murder or anything. I'd love to see something with, someone suffering from schizophrenia and, worrying about their kid. I think that'd be a really fascinating idea for a movie or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I mean, like, what can you do? I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's all doom and gloom. There's like, you don't need any drugs. I mean, essentially, like, I see a thing coming through the wall, and it is scary, but at the same time, somewhat whimsical. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's a mixed bag. I mean, you can have like the fun kind of crazy, but obviously in the bag there's going to be a few mixed in pebbles of pain. But that's the thing. You want your.
Have you guys ever? Sorry. Go ahead.
No, Bobby, you go ahead.
Have any of you guys ever seen A Beautiful Mind?
Yes, good movie.
I haven't. I haven't seen it.
I'll talk about it non-spoiler then. Beautiful Mind is a very positive portrayal of someone with schizophrenia, Milan. So you would actually really enjoy it.
And he's got Superman's dad.
Yeah, he's got Superman as a dad. It does a really good job of of showcasing the difficulties someone goes through with
Marlon
schizophrenia.
Brando is in this movie?
No, Kurt Russell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marlon goes through the difficulties of living with schizophrenia and being a genius at the same time, which makes it even harder, and it shows that it's a struggle, but it does a very good thing because it shows that he's able to overcome it. You know, he's able to work through it, which is really, really good flick. Thank you for bringing that up, Bobby.
I don't know why I didn't bring that up when we were talking about
Positive portrayals. Milan, you got any movies or shows or books or anything you can think of that positively portrays the mentally ill?
Golly, I don't know.
Moon Knight?
I'm sure there are. What?
Moon Knight?
No.
Oh, guys, did you hear Warren Ellis is going to be writing Moon Knight?
Oh, God.
Who's that?
Warren Ellis excels at making the completely strange, irrational, and disturbing seem like it's perfectly normal.
What? Hold on.
I always wanted to read that comic.
324.
It's pretty good.
I think the art looks great, but that's the thing. Like,
That's-
I'm sure there is, like, you know, really, like, a lot of examples of, like, positive portrayals and, like, in media. Like, I'm sure I've read a book here or there that, you know, portrays the mentally ill in a positive light, but I can't remember.
Yeah. I enjoyed Flowers for Algernon, something I had to read in 8th grade. It's about it's a little science fiction-y. It's about a retarded guy who is given basically brain surgery or something like that to make him smarter.
First he goes into a experiment program, where first they give the test to a rat named Eugene.
Named Algernon.
Algernon. Oh, I read it as Eugene.
No, Algernon's the name of the rat. It's called Flowers for Algernon.
Oh, okay. I'm illiterate.
I seriously am just imagining Bobby sitting there reading Flowers for Eugene. It has a much less powerful title when you use the word Eugene. Milan, Mike, please.
Oh, sorry. Yeah?
Well, dude, I can still hear it in the background. What's going on? Is someone, like, taking a shower?
No, nobody. Like, there's nothing's happening. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's just, like, a lot of background noise. Sorry. No, Flowers for Algernon was a good one. It's a retarded man basically goes through an experiment or brain surgery or something, and he becomes he becomes progressively smarter, and all these things in his life start really, you know, moving up, but he's still got, like, the innocence, that childlike innocence of someone with mental retardation because they never matured. So that was a really fascinating one.
Doesn't it end with he gets starts going so that IQ starts getting too high, where he's no longer still communicate with people because he's just too more inferior intelligent wise?
No, he almost gets to that point, but then he starts getting dumb again.
Okay.
That is such a plot that's been used over and over again. I mean, like with The Simpsons, with like everywhere you can see examples where that happens a lot.
Well, then they got it from this story I'm willing to bet you, because it's a pretty old book or old story. Yeah, that's like, I think that came out in like the 20s or something.
Oh, that's the
20s or 30s.
That's the thing. Are they like condemning intelligence? Or like, oh, you'll get too smart for your own good, son.
No, Milan. The point is that it's about a guy who gets really intelligent, and then it starts to go down. Like it only is temporary, and then it starts to go down, and he actually gets dumber than he was before until he dies. Which is really sad. It's a very sad story. I don't know if there's really a message. I'm sure there is. I just haven't thought about this story in years. It's not about don't get too smart, and it's not like everyone always says anything where science goes wrong is just a cliche message of science tries to grasp too far. I fundamentally disagree with that. So it's not that. I think what they're trying to say in it is that, you know, these people are good, inherently good, or at least they try to be, and they could be great functioning members of society if we would just let them. I think that'd be a good thing to draw from the story, but again, it's been a long time since I've read it. I'd have to read it again. I mean, I read that shit in 8th grade, so give me a little break on that one.
Yeah, it's been a while since then. Oh.
Yeah, feel old right now, don't you?
2002.
Yeah, 2003 for me. That was over 10 years ago.
God,
that feels... Oh, God, man.
Imagine back when we were old 70-something-year-old men and we're back in 2001. Oh, shut up, Grandpa. Nobody cares what happened in 2001. That's history, yo. I mean,
we used to do podcasts. A podcast? What the hell's that? You record it on an audio recorder. Why don't you just do a video? Fuck off.
Why didn't you just shoot your brain waves into the minds of your followers, for fuck's sake? We didn't
back before the advertisements became the programming.
At least, right now, we gotta enjoy it right now.
I don't like this new Pepsi movie.
At least they're not advertising it in our dreams yet, so that's a plus.
I love that episode of Futurama.
Yeah.
This stream brought to you by Lightspeed Briefs.
That's terrifying. All art will be replaced by capitalism.
I don't know why that's a bad thing, Milan. You damn commie.
Yeah. I get it.
The book American Psycho.
God, hold on, I'll be right back.
Milan, did you ever read any the American Psycho?
I started reading it, but I'm it's just it was I just couldn't get I was reading I was listening to the audiobook, and just stuff came up and I never finished it.
I still gotta read it. I know it. There was another book that the same writer did that had the brother in it.
Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero, which the movie was called. I forgot what the movie was called. Do you know, Ian?
Oh wait, no. Less Than Zero doesn't have the brother in it. What's the other one? Crap. I can't remember,
but yeah, the two brothers. I thought it was a really interesting comparison. Yeah, the younger brother. Would you say the brother has a mental illness at all? Compared to having brothers.
I'd say he's narcissistic.
Yeah.
Crap. What's the name of that guy? I can't even remember, dude. It's been a while since I've only seen that one once. It's funny. This is the second time I've talked about American Psycho today, and every time I talk about American Psycho, I say, yeah, the book's good, or the movie's good, but the book made it so that I can never, ever, 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 ever eat spray cheese again.
Why?
So, he meets up with a girlfriend that he had in college, in his apartment. And he ties her down to the floorboards. Some of the names, I've got the book right here, and I'm flipping through it to see if I can find the scene. Some of the names of the chapters crack me up. Killing Child at Zoo. Anyway, he straps his ex-girlfriend down to the floorboards of his apartment. Oh, here we go, rats. Alright. Straps her down to the floorboards of the apartment. And then takes spray cheese. She's naked. Takes spray cheese and shoves the canister up her vagina and just sprays it all in there. Then he gets a rat that he caught out on the streets of New York, and a plastic tube, and he puts the rat in the tube and corks one end of it and shoves the other end inside of her.
Oh fuck!
So the rat obviously goes in for the cheese and worms its way in there, so that the only thing sticking out.
Stop!
No, I'm gonna finish this. The only thing sticking out is the tail. And then he gets a chainsaw and cuts her in half to try to find the other end of the rat. And that's why I can never eat spray cheese again, and no one listening to this ever will be able to either.
Oh my god. Oh fuck.
That
the guy who wrote this fucking thing is apparently he has this history of hating women for some reason. I don't know where.
No, not at all.
I know there's been a history of women making those claims.
Like, everyone says Bret Easton Elias hates women, but no, I mean, clearly everything he says in here is against woman hate. Like, everything that... Obviously, Patrick Bateman is not a likable character, and he doesn't encourage anyone to be like Patrick Bateman.
That's why I thought it was interesting that...
Like, which ones of his... like...
The rat emerges headfirst. Somehow
stop.
it turned itself around inside the cavity, and it's stained with purple blood. I also noticed where the chainsaw took off about half of its tail, and I feed it extra brine until I feel I have to stomp it to death, which I do. Later, the girl's femur and left jawbone lie in the oven, baking, and tufts of pubic hair fill a Steuben crystal ashtray, and when I light them, they burn very quickly.
Oh my fucking god, dude.
It's it's one of the weird things when you read books about, like, really violent people, is just, you wonder where all of this came from. And I can say this because I've written stuff about very violent people. You wonder where it came from, and then you just realize, it came from me, and there's something wrong with me, maybe.
Oh my god. Like, isn't, like, every single one of his characters, the author's characters in any of his books, is just awful?
Yeah, they're all horrible people, and what he's trying to emulate is don't be horrible people. And what he does is he, portrays them as upstanding members of society, because it's commentary on that. Which is why I like it so much.
Oh my god.
I'm trying to use one of the hollow plastic tubes from the dismantled something system
Stop, please, dude.
Pushing the vaginal lips around one end.
Stop.
And even with most of it greased with olive oil, it's not fitting in properly. During this, the jukebox plays Frankie Valli singing The Worst That Could Happen, and I'm grimly lip-syncing to it, while pushing the habitable tube up into the bitch's cunt. I finally have to resort to pouring acid around the outside of the pussy so that the flesh can give way to the greased end of the habitual, and soon enough it slides in easily. I hope this hurts you, I say. The rat hurls itself against the glass cage as I move it from the kitchen into the living room.
Please.
Refused to eat what was left of the other rat I had brought it to play with the last week. Now lies dead, rotting in a corner of the cage. For the last 5 days, I've purposely starved it. I set the glass cage down next to the girl, and maybe because of the scent of the cheese, the rat seems to go insane. First running in circles, mewling, then trying to heave its body, weak with hunger, over the side of the cage. The rat doesn't need any prodding, and the bent coat hanger I was going to use remains untouched by my side, and with the girl still conscious, the thing moves effortlessly on newfound energy, racing up the tube until half of its body disappears, and then after a minute, its rat body shaking while it feeds. All of it vanishes.
Ian, stop. No, we've lost all of our viewers forever. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I got to keep going. No, what I find interesting about Patrick Bateman as a character is he's got so much wrong with him, and just everything is wrong with this dude. But he's 100% obsessed with appearance. The entire first chapter is almost... A lot of the first chapter is just him describing his morning routine and everything he does to try to be perfect. So he's like this narcissistic sociopath. The rat scene is probably the most disgusting thing I've ever read in my entire life. And you all got to listen to it. So, kudos. But the point of reading it is because it's horribly disgusting. And it's also a very accurate portrayal of something that is, characteristic of someone with mental illness. This is not something that someone else would just do to another human being without something being very wrong with them. On a fundamental level. Maybe, I don't know, to bring this to a more modern context, maybe Patrick Bateman has affluenza.
The most terrifying thing that I can say about that is that I completely agree. if you have mental illness, that is what goes through your head. And, like...
Yeah, it's just something that's awful in every conceivable way, and that's what makes it interesting to read about.
Yeah.
It's you can see this being like something that's described by someone that did out all the horrible things that a lot of these serial killers did. I mean, like, Jeffrey Dahmer straight up drilled a hole in a guy's head and poured acid in it to melt part of his brain. No sane person would think to do that. And, you know, what's arguably the best part of all that, and I know I sound so desensitized to this, but I honestly, it's so weird that I actually find it fascinating. It's so far removed from what any human being would ever think to do, you'd think. But the reason he did it is because he thought if he melted that specific portion of the brain, the person would become kind of like a sex zombie. They'd still be alive, but they'd have no free will or whatever, and they'd just do anything he told them, so they'd be a zombie slave.
This was a man or a woman? What was it?
It was a man. Jeffrey Dahmer was gay.
Well, boy.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, fuck's sake. See, that's the thing. That's part of the thing. Like, when you've become, like, it's so wonderful. I'm hearing all this, and I feel disgusted. And I think the best thing, this is the best verification for a mentally ill person to say, oh, don't worry, you've become sane now. Your mind is no longer filled with this type of shit. Because it's like the fact that I'm disgusted, I feel like, yay, I don't think about this type of shit anymore. My mind is cleansed with the power of sanity. Oh my god. Yeah. Like I used to think about, like, I hate to admit it, I feel disgusting, but this type of shit went through my head. And it's like, it's
gone through my head too. It's not just like I think part of it is you go through a certain phase at a certain age where you get really fascinated by this shit.
No, it wasn't fascinated. Like, I wasn't fascinated with it. I wasn't fascinated at all. It was just the facts of life.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I think everyone goes, boys at least, I can't really attest to girls, I think a lot of boys go through a phase where they're interested in violence, and that's something that Clockwork Orange comments on a lot. You just get really into being violent, into, rebelling. It's part of the rebellious stage, I think.
The thing is, the worst thing about it, like, for somebody who's mentally ill, it's not like, it wasn't about rebellion and liking it and and finding it fascinating. It was just something that was just there, sitting in your skull.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's not just because you're mentally ill. I'm saying everyone goes through a phase like that. It's part of the rebellion phase of wanting to do bad things, wanting to do things that no one else does, wanting to know about things that no one else wants to know about, because it's fundamentally different. It's out there. You're trying to differentiate yourself from everybody else. These are the most differential. I think a lot of people go to this place for a short amount of time. The difference between them and serial killers is dwelling on it and acting on it. I know, obviously, if you're mentally ill, it occurs to you. It occurred to me. I mean, fuck, hold on. I'm going to pull something up on my computer here and read a little passage of something I wrote at that age. So give me a minute here. I wish my computer was faster. Bobby, once that comes up, go to a random page in it, please.
Okay.
It's like, I think 100 pages long, so you should be able to just find something random in the middle. I wrote a story called Brotherhood when I was in high school, and I was going through that phase, and it's...
Was that on your red floppy?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hold up, I'll tell you that much. But it's got elements that are good in it, I'd like to think. Some stuff still works here and there, give or take, but
this is just turned into the Ian Reed's fucked up shit episode.
Well, you wanted me to talk about mental illness, and this character has something clearly wrong with him, though I don't really want to say what.
Go ahead. Nobody's listening now anyway. The whole rat thing scared everyone off.
Yeah, my bad.
Jesus.
Thanks, Ian. Now I'm not going to watch internet porn tonight.
My bad.
Well, maybe.
Let's see. Let's see if I can find a guy dressed like a freaking mouse. It's like a
Okay.
like a guy dressed in a mouse costume. And you're like, why did I? Oh God, no.
Okay.
Just go to one of those webcam shows and just like ask requests for specific stuff.
Oh fuck.
All right. Here we go. Now, the thing about this book, just real quick, it's a novel. It's a really bad novel, I guarantee it. I haven't read it since I was 17. It's also kind of got a very distinct sense of dark humor, so we'll see how this goes. This character, Colito, is his therapist. Michael drove once again to Colito's office. He'd been seeing her for 3 months and fucking her for 2. The road was surprisingly empty for 12 o'clock in Chicago, so Michael decided to give his engine the run it wanted. Slowly he pulled up to a stoplight, put the car in neutral. Then he waited. While he was waiting, Michael grabbed his CDs and found Morrison Hotel, an album which he seldom listened to, but its first song was perfect for what he was about to do. He slid the CD into the player, then revved the engine. The song played, the light turned green, and Michael slammed his car into first. Like a bullet, the charger took off, blah, 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 blah. Car lights flashed behind him. "Motherfucker," Michael yelled and hit the wheel as he pulled over. The officer got out of the squad car and walked over. God damn it. You pick like a really boring scene, Bobby.
I am Bobby, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I fuck shit up.
Okay, like this, Michael said as he speedily pulled his 9mm pistol out from the covers and blew 9 of the 15 shots into the demon's chest. It flew backward, but didn't die. Michael kicked himself up at the same time, hitting the demon in the jaw. Then Michael slung his hand back and, with as much force as he could muster, slapped the demon across the face with 5 pounds of steel. There's a lot of really weird violence in this. Like, people that this guy killed keep coming back from the dead and just like wanting to talk to him, and then they die again, so he's like constantly cleaning up bodies and shit. It was a very interesting premise, but yeah, it got really weird. My bad. I got really weird while I was writing this one too. I would straight up turn on my black light and just have that be that and the computer screen be the only source of light in the room while I was writing this. I got really odd on that one. I think everyone goes through a stage of interest in and dwelling on violence. And everything in this, like all the violent actions in this, are just things. He raised the switchblade to Leo's temple. He put the blade back in its handle, then pushed it against the temple of his victim. Michael pushed the button to release the blade, and it shot through Leo's temple and killed him instantly. That's something I just came up with. I can honestly tell you, I've never seen anyone be killed like that on television or read about it in a book. That's just something that occurred to me is, wouldn't this be an interesting way to kill a person?
You'd be surprised how much me and Ian have in common.
Right? It's one of those weird things. It's just, I think everyone goes through that stage of violence, and I think the mentally ill dwell on those particular things, plan them out meticulously, and then finally decide to act on them. Because I know I dwelled on thinking about doing really violent things to people that angered me, and I maybe once or twice went so far as to think about exactly how I would do it, but I never ever really thought about actually going out and doing it.
Now, here's the question. For people that do dwell on it and eventually do act, do you think it might be prevented maybe if they find a release, a non-violent release, that could maybe somewhat reenact or react what they would have done?
Like, I mean, it's got to be a very vivid thing, because the point of it's fantasy. I mean, like, why do we watch porn?
To release.
Yes, to release, because you have all this sexual energy and frustration.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this, which would you rather do, watch porn or have sex?
Have sex. And
that's why. The fantasy is never as good as the reality until the reality happens. That's, there's never gonna
that was just a really subtle, diss I'm like like that was subtle, Ian. I'm impressed.
It wasn't about subtlety. I mean, like, nothing that you fantasize about is going to be better in reality than it is in your head. I mean, that's part of why there's, so many geek reviewers on the internet that hate these superhero movies. Is what they have in their head is just so much better than anything could possibly be put on screen by someone else. And that's part of why, Star Wars prequels, it's not the whole reason, but that's one of the reasons that the Star Wars prequels were so bad, is because they were never going to measure up to what people had dreamed about.
Yeah.
So, when you look at, when it comes down to it, I don't think there is a release for someone that has violent fantasies other than to enact those violent fantasies. That's part of why, most serial killers start with dogs when they're young. Or animals, cats, whatever. They start by torturing animals, and it doesn't do as much for them, so then they think, well, maybe people is why maybe it's because it's not a person, is why they want to have that satisfaction for it.
Yep.
Milan, and just yep. All right.
I just like, I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, what more can I say, Ian? You're just speaking my mind, and I'm terrified for you.
All right, guys. Now, a question. One thing I've always had a problem with, like, superheroes and comics. You get a lot of villains that are mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more superheroes that are mentally ill. I think there's not enough of that. I think, honestly, to do what any superhero does, I don't think there's really much of a difference between a villain and a superhero sometimes. And I would like to see, for how much there is, how many mentally insane villains are, I would like to see a little bit more heroes. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, yeah, that'd be nice. For a while I was thinking about writing a character that decided he was going to be a superhero and obviously had PTSD and was just kind of like using that as an escape from reality.
And then Super came out.
Nah, I never saw it.
That's a good one.
What is that one with Woody Harrelson?
I never saw that one.
The Defendor?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. That's a good example of what you're talking about, Bobby. But as far as like mainstream comic book, I mean, Moon Knight kind of, but not necessarily.
Maybe Batman, but I don't think anyone's going to outright say it.
I mean, I think Batman's just as crazy, or arguably more crazy than the Joker, but that's a personal opinion. My example that I always point to for this, alright, say you're in a room with a bunch of, children and a lion, and you have two guns. One is like a straight-up pistol that will fucking kill the thing. And the other gun is a tranq dart that will put it out for a while, and you just gotta make sure that you tranq him again before he gets back up. Which one are you gonna use? Obviously the fucking pistol is gonna kill the damn lion. But, Batman's one's like, no, I'm gonna use the fucking tranq. I'm like, no, you don't use the tranq on the lion when there are children in the room, because they're gonna want to pet it, and I'm taking the example way too far here.
Kids want to pet the Joker's head, like, oh, Mr. Joker. But that's the thing. I mean, it's fascinating because.
Do you have money to go shopping?
Okay, anyway,
well, one thing I can think about, another case of Hal Jordan eventually goes a little bit power hungry.
Yeah, not power hungry. Hal Jordan was possessed, so I don't know.
That's what I think it kind of ruins that a little bit. When I first heard about the idea of him being possessed by parallax, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. But now I'm thinking about it right now, the whole idea of him, losing his family, and his idea of him actually being able to recreate that.
What happened was, to be fair, it's not like just full-on possession, and it's not full-on trauma.
So he's still responsible for his actions, somewhat.
Not exactly. He had the traumatic experience, and that's what let the force that possessed him completely take him over.
Okay.
And it fed on some things that he'd originally thought about, but obviously he'd fantasized about, to connect this to what we were talking about. He'd obviously fantasized about this stuff, but he never acted upon it because he knew in his quote-unquote heart it would be wrong. But because the Force took him over, and because those ideas were in line with that Force's goals, that's why he was able to enact those things.
So basically his willpower broke and fear took over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is... It was a very good story, and I'm just to plug away here. In the next couple weeks, probably when I'm out on spring break, I'm going to do a review of Emerald Twilight by myself. It's been a while since I've done a solo review, but there you go, guys.
Ian, one more thing. It's just like you said, the whole Batman doesn't kill the Joker because it's just like he has too much fun with him.
No, I really don't.
It's deeper and darker than that. I know.
No, that's an argument that's made, but I don't agree with it. I think he doesn't kill the Joker because it's kind of like killing himself. I think at the end of the day, as much as Batman says that he doesn't believe Superman that we can show people a better way, I think that he doesn't kill the Joker because it'd be like killing himself, because they are the exact same person. They just reacted to the same kind of trauma in a completely different way.
Like, personally, with my opinion with that would be, I think Batman understands Joker, but he doesn't. But he knows that he needs that hope, and he still has that hope. And if he would kill the Joker, he knows that would be the final straw. He would finally lose it.
Well, what I was just saying there is, I don't think he kills the Joker because it'd be like self-suicide, and I think that to Batman, if he can save the Joker, that means that he'll be okay. He'll be able to save himself if he can stop the Joker from even wanting to do the things he does, because he sees himself within the Joker.
That plus protecting himself from the world, the future Batman, that which could honestly be Batman beyond Rogue.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think we're about wrapped up here. I don't have anything else I really want to talk.
Fuck's sake.
I don't have anything else I really want to mention. Bobby, you got anything else you wanted to bring up?
Something small. A couple of cases of use in film for shocking. I loved it in Fight Club.
That was good.
There was this movie called My Bloody Valentine 3D. And they essentially did the same thing. It's not original, but it doesn't get used enough that you you almost forget about it, so you almost overlook it when it happens.
High Tension does that as well. Milan, anything else you wanted to bring up?
Well, I wanted to bring up some stuff, but you just read my mind, and to a creepy extent, I'm like, Ian, I'm worried about your mental health now, because you're just spouting stuff that I wanted to say, and I'm like, you poor bastard. That's fine.
Milan, how do you know that you're just not talking to your computer right now? And
that's why,
Bobby, shut the fuck up, Bobby.
Father
Shut the
keep
fuck.
coming in the room and just talking to you because you're just sitting there staring at the computer.
Stop it.
Having this
Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. Don't go there, man. Don't go there.
Sorry,
because I'm freaking out, man. I'm freaking out.
I hate to say it, but that is a really funny idea to me. As dark as that is honestly hilarious to me. Just the idea of sitting there talking to his, just looking at his computer, and his family keep coming over and saying things to him. He's just like, "Shut up! I'm having a conversation." It's so morbid.
And Skype is off. And I'm like,
the computer's not even fucking on.
Exactly. And my father comes in I'm talking to somebody. The computer is off. You fucking mental case. And I'm like, and then you got oh my god, I'm scared now.
Sorry, Milan. Okay, everybody.
You're freaking me out, motherfucker. Oh my god.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
No one is listening now, dude. No one.
Well, we got some. Leave a comment if you got through me reading American Psycho. Anyway.
God.
All right, couple quick things. Bill is coming back next week, and he's picked our topic. We're reviewing the pilots for the 70s Hulk show. It's like an...
Sounds incredible.
That was I see what you did there, Bobby. No, but like we're reviewing the pilot for that. It's a feature length, so that should be interesting. It is on Netflix, so for anyone that's never seen it, if you have Netflix, you can watch it for free. Milan, you gonna be able to get a hold of that?
I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna be reviewing the pilot for the Hulk. Haley wanted me to mention this, and I don't mind that. I did a review with her on the Audrey Hepburn movie Charade. Pretty fun movie. Go check out the review. Watch the movie if you'd like. It's on her channel, so you can go check that out there.
Yeah. Everyone else, if you want to... I do 2 podcasts. One is on my YouTube channel. The other one's on iTunes. One is called Transmissions from Innsmouth. It's like, as Blows Himself Up Dude says, it's a Welcome to Night Vale knockoff, but not shit. The other one is, well, he didn't. I added the not shit part. He just said it was a Night Vale knockoff. But other one I do is a podcast I do called Talking Heads with Dr. Lemonade that I do on my YouTube channel. You can find the playlist there. It's just me and the guy talking crazy for a little while, and yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. Bobby, you doing anything?
Nothing planned anytime soon. Hey, cannot talk. Sorry.
Nothing planned anytime soon.
Yeah.
Bobby and I are planning to do Geeky Gentleman minis on each episode of the Flash show whenever that starts off. We're going to be doing those live.
You gotta let me know whenever that show's gonna come out, so I can mix my schedule for work.
Yeah, that'd be fine. We're going to be doing those live when possible. Let me say that. But yeah, that's the plan right now. I don't know how soon that is, but they just released a picture of the guy in the Flash mask.
That looks amazing.
So, yeah, I wish it was just a little farther away and maybe more at like an angle, but it's such a weird like it's almost like a mugshot. So I'm like, what is this? I can't really tell what's going on here. No, but it looks cool. I'm excited for the Flash show. But everybody, like I said, Incredible Hulk pilot review next week, so that will be fun, maybe. I can't make promises for future Ian and future Bill and future Milan, and so I can't make promises for them, but I'm going to hold them to that standard. Anyway, it should be fun. But everybody, thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
Bobby.
Oh, I am Murloc!
And I am the Madman.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things. You were what?